I'm eating brunch with my people though. The homie Dyke just cooked up a feast and we bout to eat it, bro. Fucked around and has to mix the lobster with the poutine. Daddy is rolling blue dream. Them boys got down a routine. It's Naptown culture. Cooking 7 courses. Had to pass the torch and now I'm grabbing second portion. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a smoke. It's Harder Brunch on the way and get prepared for the jokes. Whoa.
Hi, and welcome to the Harder Brunch Podcast. I'm your host, Dyke Michaels, and with me as always, my co-host, Thaddeus J. McKee. On the ones and twos, the wheels of steel, the they-them boss of Indianapolis, and the last Black Dragon. Give it up for Casey Campbell.
Hello, mate.
Hey, thank you for sitting in for Sauce Bosse today. I appreciate it.
Where is Sauce Bosse today?
Sauce Bosse is, he's doing some court-ordered things. I don't really think I'm allowed to.
He's being sued.
I don't think I'm allowed to. We're not supposed to talk about it.
Well, he shouldn't have done that.
His legal issues.
If it's what I think it is, he shouldn't have done it.
Well, let's just say he's not allowed within 500 yards of a school anymore. We'll just leave it at that.
Anymore. Again.
Very special guest with us, first time in studio, the great comedian, Jeff Bodart. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You know, I'm going to clap for myself.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's good to be here.
The man of the seas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other seas. For some reason. I was like,
Wait,
Just drowning in seas, everybody.
Wait, are we like C cups?
No, I was like a C word. I don't know why that's where my mind went. You were talking about the high seas.
Oh, you're talking about the low seas.
Yeah, I was talking about the low seas. Yeah, okay. You.
All right, give it up for Abbott Costello over there. They're pretty.
You just got off of a cruise ship.
Yeah, I got off on a cruise ship and I got off a cruise ship. I was on, I don't remember. They all run together at this point. It's something of the seas.
Working a cruise ship. You didn't just take a cruise.
No. And I wouldn't take a cruise. Even if I were on vacation, I wouldn't take a cruise.
Yeah.
I was working a cruise, and I do that a lot now. That's primarily all I do now. And is it?
I would love to do a cruise.
Yeah, I think a lot of comics love them. I mean, they're fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just love performing.
Yeah,
and it's fun to have those crowds, but they're not always comedy crowds.
Sure,
they're like, hey, what are we doing tonight? What are the options? Well, we could go, gamble or see.
It was either Jeff Bodart or the shrimp buffet.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
people trying to save their marriage through laugh on the ocean.
Yeah, some of the workers there, some of the people running the comedy shows are like, oh man, we got a big show tonight. It's like they're bored, man. It's not like they're not here for me necessarily. Yeah. They want to see a show. So
have you wrote more sea jokes? Like
yeah.
Okay.
And I started in January of 22 doing cruise ships, and I was nervous about the logistics of it, how to get on and do all this, and not the actual shows. The actual shows, I was a little nervous about what they required, like material, time, or what I'm supposed to stay away from. And then I was talking to other comics. There's a guy named Stephen Thomas. He's out of LA, and he does primarily cruises for the last 20-25 years. And he goes, dude, you're gonna think of so many sea jokes and ship jokes, and he's like, you're gonna be fine. Because he saw my act one night and he goes, oh yeah, you're gonna be fine. I go, okay, because I was nervous because I didn't know, because you don't know what's gonna translate.
Yeah,
but funny's funny.
Sure, even in open seas.
Yeah, even in the open seas.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, is cruise ship money like comparable to like what you would normally be getting on land?
Land? It's a lot more.
It's pirate money.
It is. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't been boarded yet. It is better money. I miss doing clubs more because there's just more freedom.
Yeah.
On a cruise ship, even when they say there's an adult show, it's still not quite adult. It's adult, but they don't, and I'm not filthy.
Yeah.
But it's nice to, curse. I mean, can we curse on this?
Oh, please do.
Oh, fuck
yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. But yeah, it's nice to say fuck every now and then, but there's a certain amount not really a certain amount, but don't say it too much every other word. And, I have sexual innuendo stuff, and some comics I know are like, there's no stool fucking on a on a cruise ship, and really not much in clubs anymore either. But there's just certain kind of unwritten rules here and there, and you learn as you go. I did a show on a ship, and we're friends. This cruise director and I, we're friends, and she's from England, and she was really funny. But next time, a little less fucks. And I go, oh, but this is an adult show. Yeah, but it's a little less fucks.
But you know, everything does come back in the 90s. Like what you said, the stool fucking. Things do come back. Like, you know.
Yeah, history swings the pendulum.
Yes, the reboot. So I'm thinking about bringing 2 stools on the stage. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Really, you got to kick it up.
It's like a poly relationship.
It's like a menage.
Yeah. And I might even invite more comics up there. Like, get in here, guys.
Oh, you guys are going to believe this comic I saw last night. He didn't fuck just 1 stool. He fucked 2 stools.
There's actually a lot of drama as a chair throuple. There was a lot going on.
He sat on 1 stool and fucked the other one. He was into
crazy.
I got this new bit I'm working on where I pretend the microphone is my penis. I'm gonna revolutionize the industry.
Ooh.
It's weird how that stuff comes back around.
But what about 2 penises? 2 mics, 1 cock.
How long have you been doing stand-up for? You were saying that you started in the early aughts?
February 19th, 2001 was my first time on stage ever as a comic.
Okay.
A little over 22 years. Yeah, it's
Wait, what year was that?
2001.
You did. I hate that you said 22 years. Like, now I have to do the math. 2001.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
You started with 9/11. Is that what inspired you, the Taliban?
Yeah. I started before 9/11. And by the way, I was supposed to go to an open mic on 9/11. And this is how it was a tragedy, but I was still like, are we going to have open mic night tonight? Is that still on?
Hasn't the country suffered enough? Try to shoehorn an open mic set into
I've got to have this dick joke I got to do. I don't understand. Why can't I do open mic night tonight? But
that is such a true mindset of a comic. Like, hey, we can still make people laugh.
Yeah, I was in a car wreck on August 21st of 2021. And I was supposed to go do a show in Brown County, Indiana. And
oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I was waiting to turn left, and a kid hit me from behind. And I ended up in a ditch. And I got a scar on my forehead, and I was bleeding. I was gushing blood, and I was still like, if I can get the blood cleaned up, I could probably still go do a show.
What all were the like? How bad was it? Like, it was pretty bad, right?
Yeah. It was totaled my car and totaled his car, and it's still it's almost done.
Were you all pinned up and metal body parts and all that?
No, I had stitches in my forehead and gushing blood, and then people were like, "Don't move," and I go, "Why?" Like, you don't know what you've done to yourself. You don't know what's happened to your body. So they had to carry me up on a backboard out of a ditch.
What month was that?
August of 21.
I feel like we were, I forget where I was, but I remember we were out of town somewhere.
We were in Michigan.
We were in Michigan, and I got a text from somebody, and it was, Jeff Bodart is dead. That's
what?
Yeah,
wow.
That's pretty much how it came across. And I was like, what?
Oh,
and
my God.
But then it kept getting like upgraded to like from dead to like, no, he was just in a really bad car accident. And I'm like, I'm glad he's alive. Is he ever going to walk again?
Oh my God.
It was just like,
I didn't know that.
I may have overreacted when I got the text message. All right. And, because I remember getting it, and I was like, shit. And the whole car was like, whoa, what happened to Jeff Bodart, man?
he's dead.
He's gone.
Jesus.
He's gone.
I might be. I'm a ghost right now.
I mean, I thought, maybe there's another spot in the headlining world.
That's every comic's thought.
But then for me, it kept getting better and better because it started off with you're dead, and I was like, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
And then you were alive, and then it was like, oh, he can walk just fine. So that's great.
Oh, he's just bleeding.
just a little bit of blood.
His face is just covered in blood. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. I really enjoyed doing that show. Did you get a chance to go back and
a do-over? I did do it. I drove a different way though. But I went a different route, and I still don't drive in that area.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you ever get like, cause I feel like I have a substantial amount of car PTSD because I've been in a few car accidents.
Oh,
I've never been I'm not usually the driver. I'm usually as a passenger, so I'm a little squirrely in cars.
Okay. Yeah, I get it. I slid off the road in Michigan, near Cadillac, Michigan, and it was I was going along, and all of a sudden started getting a little snowy, and of course it is in Michigan. And then I slowed down to switch lanes and kind of get behind somebody, and then I just slid right off the road, and it's weird because right before that, there was these huge drop-offs. And then I just so happened to slide right off into the most shallow part you could probably slide off in. And so I just glided to a stop. And then there was a guy stop. Hey, all right? I think. He goes, can you drive out? And I go, I don't know. I think so. And so I ended up just driving out. And then again, 20 seconds later, 15 seconds later, another big ass drop off. And so I just happened to pick, I slid off in the easiest part you could slide off on.
The perfect place.
Yeah. So talk about being looked after. Holy cow.
And now you're taking different roads now.
Yeah.
You're doing it the Robert Frost way.
I no longer go to Cadillac, Michigan.
I was in a car with Gwen's uncle like about a month ago. We were going to the Sunday show after recording a podcast here. And we were about a block away from the house. And the car in front of us, light turns green, car goes, gets T-boned by this Ford F-150 coming like 100 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
15 feet in front of us.
Oh my God.
And just pushes the car through traffic. I mean, it was just crazy. And then we came back later that night and it ended up being a fatality.
Oh no.
And I was just like, man, that was so close to being us.
Yeah.
Like that was just like,
it's scary.
It's crazy.
I've seen a few, and there was one a few years ago. I saw somebody flipped over like in front of me, like a few cars ahead, but we all saw the same thing. It was like, holy cow. And then one year, literally a few weeks later, I saw a car zip over from all the way to the left to all the way to the right because he was trying to get to his exit. And then I kind of watched real quick on the exit, and he ran out of road. He like basically couldn't make the turn, and so he just spun around and then landed on in off of the road. Like, holy shit. Yeah. So like, what do you do? I mean, you call the cops, or I saw people already calling. So I'm like, well, I feel guilty for not calling, but they're clearly calling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I never know if people are calling or taking pictures anymore.
That's true. Selfies. Everybody say fatality.
Oh my God. Do this on TikTok. Do the dance.
Speaking of TikTok, we had an away game today. We went out. We went to a local favorite, the TikTok Lounge, spelled slightly different. TikTok was actually, Harder Brunch actually started off as a social, it was supposed to be a social club of comics going out to eat brunch together.
Oh, nice.
And I did it about 3 times. And the first time it had like a good showing, it was like 8 of us. The next showing, there was 4 of us. And then the third showing, it was just me. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just turn this into a podcast. Yeah. And if nobody wants to come. But the TikTok was the first place that Harder Brunch technically started. So it was all full circle. Wow. They're known for their extravagant Bloody Mary, which we both had.
Oh my gosh, it was great.
It was terrific. Oh yeah, this is the Smoking Goose brunch breakdown. I'm terrible terrible at introducing bits. But it was really good. I don't know, what did you have? You had the crazy sandwich.
I had that tenderloin.
Yeah.
It was aggressive.
Yeah.
Ate half of it, still had a sandwich left. The whole sandwich.
A big sandwich left.
Yeah. Yeah, it was we got to call Rick Garrett on that.
They do a thing with their tenderloin where it's battered. It's actually like wet battered instead. And that's always interesting. That always catches me off guard. There's a famous chicken place in New Orleans, I want to say Willie Mays.
Okay.
I may be messing
baseball
up.
player?
No, something Mays. It's terrific, but it's all the chicken is like batter fried like that. And I've been hearing about how magical this place was.
Yeah.
But then we had like been binge drinking on Bourbon Street the night before.
Yeah.
And then we walked to this place at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and it was like a 1 or 2 mile walk, and it was like 100 degrees outside through just the swamp of Louisiana. And then I get there and I'm like, chicken's different. This is not what I was expecting.
You would have lost me at walk.
It was and then I had the loaded breakfast tots. Shout out to TikTok, man. They're always good on the east side, staple of the east side, Indianapolis.
Yeah. And the service was great. Pleasant people.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Our server was actually she owns a local brewery, has actually been a guest on the podcast before.
Nice.
So it's
wonderful.
That's where I knew her from.
Copacetic, right?
Nope, that's not the name of it.
Kaleidoscopic?
Kismetic. Yeah. So it was it's Indianapolis is really kind of a small town. I feel like, especially like the Irvington area where we're at. I always say it's like living in Mayberry inside of Indianapolis. Like,
I can see that.
Yeah, everybody kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
More ethnicity than
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a reboot of Mayberry.
2023 reboot.
Mayberry now with black people.
I'm a huge Andy Griffith Show fan.
Yeah.
And they had a few black people in the background.
Yeah.
I grew up.
Wait, did they?
Yeah, no, they had to. They got yelled at.
Really?
Yelled at?
By the NAACP. Basically, they're like, well, you don't have any black people on the show, and that's why they had. That's why they had the episode. It was one of the color episodes. Sorry, I didn't put ED at the end.
Put a laugh button on that. It was a colored episode.
Specifically didn't.
That's not a shame. Well, that wasn't a shame. I liked it.
But it was one of the color episodes, and they brought in a guy who was a football player, of course, because that's what the only thing black people can do apparently. But
and dancing,
dancing. But they had the episode come in, and he so that sort of to appease the NAACP, I guess, or
Interesting.
The African American,
I do remember by the time he was on Matlock, he had like a black assistant, so he really came a long way.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, he had a black assistant?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the sort of the private investigator of that worked for him. And we had that black guy was on for a few seasons, and they had another black guy come in and.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I want to know what the first TV show that they didn't book black people begrudgingly. I don't know. Because they're like, hey, you have to have more people. And they're like, oh, fine. Just add a janitor.
I mean, I feel like this add a janitor. I feel like this is really nerdy, but I will say probably like Star Trek, the original Star Trek. Like I think they were the first show that really was like the diversity was front and center.
They had like sexual stuff.
So first interracial kiss.
Yeah.
First, I believe on screen.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's a famous thing. The woman who played Uhura wanted to quit. Uhura.
I was like,
was her name?
Easy. It was a kiss.
She famously wanted to quit after the first season, and Dr. King actually told her, he's like, you can't quit. She's like, there's a black woman on a spaceship that America sees every week, and
let's go, King.
And even though she was technically like the space secretary or whatever, but he was like, no, you absolutely can't quit. He was like, you understand how important you are. You understand like what a groundbreaking thing that is, that a black woman is a peer to all these white men in space in the future.
That is actually pretty
and didn't the
cool.
first
That's great.
Didn't the first black woman that went into space say that was one of her biggest inspirations?
Really?
Too? I was like, yeah, I saw that. Grew up seeing that was a future I could create for myself.
You know what? MLK is not that bad of a guy.
You know what? He came up a few notches in my book.
You know what? Say what you want to say about MLK, but he's all right in my book. He was just encouraging like young assistants and janitors to stay on TV, janitors to stay on TV.
He's past Andy Griffith now. I think.
Yeah, he is.
And then famously, William Shatner was a part of the first. I can imagine that William Shatner couldn't have volunteered more quickly to be part of that first interracial kiss. I'll do it. How many takes do we need? We may be here all day. I don't know. One of our wonderful sponsors is Upland, and I have been on a long sabbatical from drinking, and I'm back in the game, back off the wagon officially. So I'm very excited. This bomber has been sitting in our fridge for a few months. It's a cherry sour, and I'm very excited. We're going to crack it open.
There you go.
There we go.
Would you like a little sample? A little taste?
Yeah, I'll take a sample.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do, right?
He probably would make more. In my book.
I said that one day. I don't know where I was, but some lady who overheard me. Thanks. Lady who Jesus wouldn't drink beer. Jesus wouldn't drink beer.
Okay.
I go, okay. That's a weird, hard stance to take, but I mean, wine. Maybe they didn't have beer in Jesus's days. So,
right.
But she was very specific. It wouldn't be beer. I'm like, I don't.
What
the fuck's wrong with you, lady?
It wouldn't be Budweiser because it wasn't around, but
I don't understand. Do you have the proof of this? Where is it in the Bible?
Yeah, what was her end game with that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she was going with. I was like, we just kind of ignored her. And at that point, no, it'd be wine probably. I don't know. Did they have beer back then? I don't know.
Cheers.
Hey, cheers.
They did.
Cheers,
There was
Jim.
beers.
There was certain types of drinks. Cheers to everybody.
Cheers to you.
I'm gonna.
Did you want some, Will? Yeah, we'll get you some.
Hey, we're gonna get it for here. Yeah. There you go. I'm having troubles.
Yeah, we can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time on this.
I'm not a bubblegum chewer and walker. I'm gonna just taste this. I'm not gonna have a full thing.
Oh,
of it.
you can. Yeah. Sorry.
You're taking a break off of drinking. I mean, you're going back on drinking, and I'm gonna be doing a little bit less.
Here. Well, you can pour it back into there. But cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Hey, cheers. Thanks for having me.
That's nice. I really do enjoy a nice sour, but it has to be like a special treat for me. You know, it's like I couldn't sit around and just pound sours all day. I feel like, but it's really good. It's tart and cherry. It's really, really good.
I'm not one of those guys who drinks something like, I detect notes of oak or, I'm like, I don't know. Tastes good.
Yeah. This is good.
And I'm not that deep, I don't think.
I'm a culinary guy, so I can always, but when it comes to alcohol too, I feel like you can bullshit a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been to tastings where I'm just like, how many things could I throw in here before someone's like, I didn't taste that. Or you get the wild ones with like wine and stuff, like when people like say like horse blanket. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
Be like, oh, this is notes of horse blanket. I was like, that's not a good descriptor. You know, like that's not so. This cheeseburger tastes like an outhouse. Like
it tastes like notes of paper clips. I don't understand. This is real tinny.
But yeah, I did like in culinary school, we just had like a basic wine tasting class. So it was just kind of, it's interesting. It's definitely like, I don't know. I don't think I could go through the whole like sommelier training course. Like it's the point where like you smell wine and you can taste the dirt from France in it. And I'm just like, my palate is not that good.
Yeah. Greg Barrett. He's a buddy of mine. He's a comic.
Okay.
He wrote the book. He's just not that into you.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
So we were hanging out and we went. This is in Bloomington years and years ago, and he's like, let's get a coffee before the show. I'm like, okay. So we got a coffee and it was just funny because it was the person selling the coffee, some girl. She's very into the coffee and just the same thing, notes of or whatever. It's like she goes, it's real bitey. And then he's just mocking her the whole time. So he talked about it probably 10 minutes on the show that night, just mocking. I'm like, this is fucking hilarious. So if you get a chance to see Greg Barrett, he's great.
There is a thing. Yeah, I try not to be pretentious, but I do get spoiled by having like access to like really good food and beverage. Like I've eaten burgers at the last few comedy clubs I've went to, and in my head I'm like, I appreciate any kind, you get any hospitality for free.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this is bullshit. Like this is like this is like grade F meat. Like I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but there's been some clubs where I'm just like, this is the worst hamburger I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm also because we're sponsored by Tinker Coffee, I'm also become quite a coffee snob.
Okay.
Like when so I like to rank like the shittiest coffees, you know, because I think like any type like bank coffee is usually up there for shitty coffee, or like
hotels.
Well, hotels are hit or miss. It depends on where you are, but like the coffee that you're like mechanic when you're getting like a Jiffy Lube coffee, that's pretty bad.
Well, what do they use?
It just sits on a burner all day.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
what
it's
it
like
is.
cheap coffee that's also like scorched. But yeah, I mean, some people get really.
I've not really had any. I haven't been to a lot of hotels, but I've not had any really good hotel room coffee.
DoubleTree.
Like when you make the own, you basically get the little thing there. What do you call that?
the like Keurig
cup. Yeah, right there. It's. I've never had a good one. Maybe in the lobby, it's decent, but not in the rooms.
It's pretty light, right? Anytime you're doing a Keurig, like it seems like there's too much water.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yes. Yeah.
I just got into like featuring like in the past couple years, and so like staying in hotels and everything, and it's like it's weird. It's like a whole different like skill set that you have to learn, like just how to travel, you know, and like how to like, because I got burned a few times on some hotel, and I'm like, oh, I'll never do that again, you know.
Yeah.
But like one of my favorite things is like the continental breakfast and getting down there. I remember like setting alarms and being like the feeling of missing the free breakfast is so devastating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's a good free breakfast.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
There's free breakfast and then there's good free breakfast.
That is true, but I also can load up on a shitty free breakfast. You know what I'm saying? Like I get real creative. And then what I also would do is I kind of memorize where everything's at, and then I would like just take stuff I didn't need, and then just have a bag of like little peanut butter cups and stuff like that, and just like, what can I make for lunch out of the the breakfast bar here?
And soaps. Were you a soap stealer?
Well, now what they've done since COVID is a lot of yes, I was. But now what they've done since COVID is it's a lot of pump soaps that they just refill.
It's the pumpers.
You bring your own bottle.
On the cruise ships, it's the shampoo and the body wash is the same product.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Somebody.
So I'm a little bougie. I bring my own.
Well, you got that cruise ship money. All right?
Yeah.
Do you mind telling fans one of your favorite brands?
Oh, wow.
You don't gotta release it, but
Old Spice makes a pretty good body wash.
yo, they do.
They do.
They really do. And deodorant.
Yeah. I use a degree on the deodorant. That's where you go.
Yeah, we're gonna bleep that out because we're not sponsored by that.
I go women's deodorant, or like I don't even know if it's gendered anymore, but like whatever used to be women's deodorant. I remember one time I like used my girlfriend's deodorant and I was like, I like this a lot better, and then I just never went back.
Oh, that's fine.
Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's more hydrated.
You know which one it was?
I definitely started. I think with Secret. Started off with.
Is Dove a woman's?
I think it used to be marketed more that way, and then I think they just realized like, hey, everyone can smell good. Doesn't matter what your gender is.
Yeah.
Like
is oil of Olay, or is it Dove, or they make a pretty good body wash too, by the way.
Oh,
real soft.
I remember my grandma used to always use the oil of Olay lotion, and it had just a very particular smell that if I smell it to this day, it reminds me of my grandma. But I would
get an erection.
I would call it oil of old lady. Okay, she didn't like that joke.
No, I bet none.
I use Young Spice.
Yep.
No.
She's probably more offended at your erection.
Hit that boo button.
Young Spice?
Nope, I don't know what about to say.
Start randomly pushing things.
Listen to this.
That was the Upland song, though. We can play that.
Yeah, let's play that up.
You know what? It is Upland time.
Is it just the beat, or is this the?
This is a song.
Turn it up.
And we could drink to it again.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
It's right on the nose.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough for the.
Who is that?
Just the artist.
It's just a super talented, handsome guy that.
Yeah, he's just an artist that goes by the name of Thaddeus.
Oh wow, good for you, man. Good for
Thank
you.
I'm out here doing it.
Yeah,
Doing the Lord's work.
I feel like we.
Making beer commercials.
I feel like we hit all of our corporate shilling in the first half. We got it. We got it all done.
Did we? We said Smoking Goose, Tinker. What about Va Voom?
No.
They do not sponsor us.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Jeff Bodart.
Hey,
Ladies of the evening.
We're sponsored by prostitutes.
Ladies on 3rd Street.
This week on the After Brunch Podcast.
I'd like to say
Dude,
that.
we're in a basement right now. Chill out.
And that was one of the number one things I was looking for was a basement, but not for that.
Mainly for podcasting.
We need a really quiet basement, a basement that you can't hear yelling from.
It literally, like, the top things we were looking for the house was like
A soundproof basement.
One with a lock on the outside.
Join us at patreon.com/Harder Brunch.
For me, kind of being a newer comic, like when you get to work with bigger comics and comics that have been on TV and movies and stuff like that. And I know that you had opened for Nick Swartzen.
Yeah.
And started like a real friendship. Right?
oh yeah,
A real friendship.
yeah, a real friendship. He just messaged me a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So he's on vacation now with his significant other. They're celebrating birthdays and friends and stuff like that. So, I was on a cruise ship. Well, and funny enough, I was on a cruise ship and he was on vacation with his friends. And he messaged me on Instagram and he said, "Hey, I'm on your ship." And I'm like, "Why the fuck? What?"
Did you think it was like a prank at first?
Yeah, I kind of thought maybe he means this for somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm like, why the fuck is Nick Swartzen? I mean, I'm a fan. I like Nick Swartzen, but I don't know. It just seems weird that he would message me. And even if he were on my ship, why would he be messaging me?
Yeah.
And I've been, like I said, a comic a long time, but I still quite don't know how to act in front of like famous people. And I've been around some famous people.
Yeah.
But I don't know always how to like react or be, or I'm like, I don't want to say something stupid. And then I messaged Terhune, Brent Terhune, and I go, dude, what? He's like, dude, just ask him to come to the show, right? See, just suggest.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. So I said, hey man, why don't you come to my show tonight?
It was like a pretty girl messaged you, and you were just all thumbs.
I don't know what to do. He's like, yeah, we're gonna come to one or both of your shows tonight. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then he saw it. He saw the family friendly shows, and then he said, well, come hang out with us. Come find us. And so I found them at the dance kind of bar area. And it was weird because I walked in. I don't go to the dance club, but this doesn't happen much anyway. But I walk in, and then people spotted me that were on the dance floor and just started clapping. And I'm like, I know I had a pretty good set, but like, this is weird. And so everybody and the people at the bar were like, oh my God, man. I'm like, have you never seen comedy ever?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Right. For example, Nick was on the floor already.
Yeah.
And they started clapping for you.
Yeah, it was strange. But he was off in a corner somewhere. So I found him and he goes, hey, man. I go, hey, how's it going? He's like, have a seat. And so I sat down and we talking and he's like, you had a really good set. And I go, thanks. He goes, you're funny. I go, I appreciate that. He goes, well, you stepped on your laughs a couple times. I'm like, yeah, I do that. I go too fast sometimes. But he goes, do you want to open for me on my fall tour? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. Let's do this.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was great. And then we've done like, I think 10 or 12 dates now. And I'd love to open for him some more. But he's got like 3 or 4 openers that kind of rotate around. And kind of depending on his mood or their mood or who's available. And so, I mean, if I don't ever get to work with him again, I understand, it's fine. But I enjoyed every show that we've done together.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
So we've talked lots of stuff, lots of Hollywood stuff and screenwriting stuff and hopefully future shows together stuff. So he's really an interesting person, and he's got some great Norm Macdonald stories and great Hollywood stories. And I don't know, we were walking around and he was on the phone. And I think I stayed in front of him that way. I didn't want to eavesdrop or anything, but he had mentioned he was on the phone with somebody talking about a script he wrote. And who's the guy that played Captain America?
Chris Evans?
Chris Evans. Yeah. He goes, and he mentioned Chris Evans or something like that. Oh yeah, he's read it. I'm like, what's going on? So it's hard not to, like, when you hear stuff like that, like, what is this? What am I doing? How am I allowed to even?
Wait, Captain America read this?
Yeah. And so, hope I'm not letting any cats out of the bag. I don't think so. But I was just like, that's really cool. I mean, that's just normal conversations for him.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's fun for me, to just, and he wasn't showy about it. He was just that conversation he had to have. Right. It was like being in the green room with Bobcat Goldthwait years ago, and we're sitting there, and he's on the phone, and he's like, "Hey man, we got approval. We're gonna make a picture together." And I could hear on the other line, "Oh, it was great," and then I get off the phone, and because what I heard, and he was not hiding anything, and we're in the green room just hanging out, and I go, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?" He goes, "Yeah, what?" I go, "Were you on the phone with Robin Williams?" He goes, "Yeah." And I go, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
So that's just crazy to me.
It's insane.
Man.
Oh my God. I remember being so mad when I found out that that's not his real voice. Like he kept the kayfabe up for like decades.
Yeah.
Like he would act in that. He would act in movies in that voice.
Yeah.
And then one day he just walks on TV and he's like, "Hi, I'm Bobcat." He had also like lost a bunch of weight, and I was just like, "What? Who is this person?"
Yeah. He's a cool guy. He's a great guy. And he does it even on stage. He goes, "I think I've met my contractually obligated amount of time to sound like that." So and then he just starts talking. I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right." I mean, it because off stage you talk to him and he's not talking like that. But it's like who's the guy that does? "Hey, I talk like this the whole time." Who's that? That's been around like 40 years. What is his name?
Forrest Gump.
No. Oh shoot. Your listeners are gonna be like yelling it out, but I can't remember his name now all of a sudden. But he has like sort of a bowl cut, guy with nothing, nobody.
Stephen Wright? No.
Oh, dag nabbit. This is bothering me now.
Do it one more time.
Oh God. He just talks like this the whole time, and I don't remember.
But it's just a bit. It's just a gimmick.
That's his whole character. But then for years he quit doing it and then went back to doing it. So I'm like, well, that's all right. I guess.
Hey.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done this voice before.
I know who you're talking about, too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
In the movie?
I don't know why.
Interesting name to kind of...
Yeah. It's when you get middle age, you just start to forget shit like that. You just start to forget.
I feel like, I feel like it would be a nightmare to be caught, like to blow up for a character that was just like, yeah, that was cool. But then like you start to resent the character and you're like, I just would have been normal. But you're trapped in this thing of just like people.
Do you think Larry the Cable Guy feels like that?
No, I think Larry the Cable Guy sleeps on a pile of money every night. He loves
Still?
it.
You think?
I think so.
Okay.
He's got that Prilosec money still.
Can you look up Larry's net worth for me there, Casey?
Oh, yeah.
No, he made some wise investments. That
Yeah,
I'm sure he did
he's
just fine.
I've always felt like with people that are bad guys in movies, like they probably have some like problems too. Like people be flipping them off, like
You don't know. I was just watching something with Robert Patrick, and he was talking about how he didn't work for 2 years after T2 because he was.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he was
so
like,
good at his job.
So yeah, he was so good.
He was amazing in Walk the Line. Played Johnny Cash's dad.
Yeah.
He's an amazing actor.
Yeah, he's really good. I think he had like some substance abuse issues as well.
Did he?
Yeah, so he said he sobered up for T2 and then just partied for 2 years
no way.
afterwards.
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, I need to. What are we looking at here? Larry the Cable Guy, net worth $100 million.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I think he's
doing fine.
I think he's all right.
He's doing fine. His kids are going to college.
Yeah.
And his salary is $20 million per year. So on top of that,
What would you do? What would you do if you had $100 million?
I would talk like Larry the Cable Guy professionally.
that is great. I would give that a applause button.
Shame.
Oh, terrible with these buttons.
I wonder how many sleeveless shirts he's had to purchase. Are those homemade?
They look homemade.
They do look homemade, don't they?
It's crazy when you see like characters like that, and then they're actually just they're on a level of richness and fame that like you can't even comprehend.
Yeah.
Like everyone dunks on Guy Fieri, and apparently one stand-up dude, and like but he's like the king of the Food Network. Like in food circles, he's not a punchline. In food circles, he's like actually like revered.
Is that
and,
Esparza that did that, or is that who was that stuck up for him? Was that
there was I don't want to attribute it to the wrong comic, but yeah, there was a comic that had a whole bit about it. But
he was on the Tonight Show or something like that.
Was it Shane Torres?
Shane Torres,
okay,
and he's great too. I worked with him, and he's great. He's very funny.
Isn't Guy Fieri, is pow his catchphrase?
No, that's Emerald.
Emerald Lagasse.
No, he's the mayor of Flavortown.
Oh.
So Emerald passed through my hometown years and years ago, back when he was really huge, but he had breakfast at the only, like, at the time, like the finest of the fine dining in my hometown. And he went to dinner, and then he kind of laughed, and people were like, "What are you laughing for?" These are the prices of my breakfasts. And I'm like, oh my God, that's kind of a, I'm kind of a dick, but
Yeah, it was kind of
like, whatever.
I like to charge people a lot of money. Did you know, how old were you when you started comedy?
Like 23.
23. So from like 18 to 23, did you know you wanted to do comedy, or did you have a different path picked out? And then,
well, I wanted to be I wanted to be an artist. I want to go to art school.
I was gonna segue into that because you're very talented artist.
Thank you.
You do these sketches that are mind blowing to me because I have zero artistic talent in that.
Thank you.
In that regard.
I've always wanted to be an artist, and then my parents were always, more my dad than anything, was I'm not raising no queer, but and I'm like, okay, that's all right. You can't say that. That's rude. And I go, I'm not. I just like drawing, and but I would like to. As a kid, I used to like piss off my dad because I used to like sashay in front of him just to piss, because I knew it pissed him off.
Sure.
And that's how we communicate in my family. Whatever
That's
pisses
hilarious.
you off, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
What does sashay mean? Does that make out with guys?
No, just walks with her. You
My
walk
dad
like
would
a
be
girl.
so angry.
Hey, Ted, come over here. You want to piss my dad off?
So I used to do that, and my dad, quit walking like that. And then my mom would finally like, okay, she'd be laughing, but okay, you can quit doing it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I wanted to be an artist, and then I got a graphic design degree instead. It was sort of the compromise. I didn't really want to do it, but it was okay. And then, but I always loved comedy. I watched, Star Search for the comedians. I watched Stand Up Spotlight on, VH1 Stand Up Spotlight, A&E's Comedy on the Road. I watched Comic Strip Live, all the comedy shows. And I didn't necessarily put together that I was going to be a comedian. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I knew that I was funny as a kid, but I think that stemmed from being held back in the third grade because I was sort of trying to cope with it.
Yeah.
And sort of, maybe I'll be the funny kid. And then you say some real dumb shit over the years, and you kind of are the funny kid. And then you just and then I get to high school and college, like I kind of think I want to do this. I want to try it. And I started writing jokes in college, and then didn't get the nerve up until I was 23. Because somebody said, I was talking to a buddy about it, and he goes, "Will you just fucking go do it and quit talking about it?" And I, fine, I will. It was like, how dare you? So that was my buddy Phil.
Yeah, that's great because I'm always interested in people that get that in because I didn't start till later in life, and when I was that age, the idea of same thing, big comedy fan, but the idea of you can't, it would be just go be Tom Hanks, I thought comedians were, from some factory in Hollywood, then they just sent them out to be on TV.
Yeah.
I never thought about local comedians or people being,
nobody tells you how to do it.
Yeah, how to start.
Yeah. And somebody said,
figure it out.
Yeah. And then it was funny because somebody just said, well, you need to go to an open mic night. And I go, what's that? And I didn't know, I didn't even hear that terminology before. So I called One-Liners, and when it was in Greenwood, and I go, do you have an open mic night? And he goes, well, no, we don't. We thought about having one, but we don't have one. Why don't you call Crackers? So I called Crackers, and somebody answered the phone. They go, okay, would you like to sign up for open mic night? And I go, sure. They go, okay, we can come on this Monday. And I go, give me a couple weeks. So yeah, so oh shit, sorry, did I hit a dog?
You hit a dog.
I don't know.
Push that hit a dog button.
Shame.
But I ended up doing the open mic night, and I don't mean to keep going on about this, but I got 3 minutes. They gave me 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I had prepared 6. So,
You had to condense down.
That's probably good though.
but I was kind of actually, okay, I can do 3, you know, but then you get up there, and my first 2 jokes just ate a dick. And then I don't even know what the third joke I had, but it was just, I got a huge laugh. I was like, oh, it's like doing drugs, I think,
Yeah.
I assume, but then you're like, this is amazing, and I equate it to it's just like my first sexual experience. It changed everything, it was just, it was amazing. The 3 minutes changed my life.
That's interesting that you said, because I always ask people, I'm always interested if people had a lot of people have the very first time they do really well. And so it makes them want to come back. And then the people that bomb, I'm always interested, hey, you bombed your first time, but then you came back.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you had 2 bombs, but then ended on a high note.
Yeah.
So
it
you
was
got
great.
a little bit of both.
I did.
A little vanilla chocolate swirl of comedy.
Yeah. And I started, and I've told a few people this, but I never felt fully welcomed into the scene.
Sure.
I never felt like I belonged.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, at the time when I started, it was kind of cliquey. And it's not really cliquey anymore, I don't think.
It's
You
gotten
feel
a lot
like you
better.
belong now?
I feel like I belong now. I feel like very welcomed.
Well,
and-
you're an elder statesman at this point.
Maybe that's what it is, because,
it's wait, out of touch, out of mind. What's that saying? Out of touch, out of mind.
You calling our guest out of touch?
I might be a little out of touch.
No.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind. You live in Columbus.
Yeah.
And you're always on the road.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's probably people that have been doing it for 3 years that don't know who you are
Oh,
yet.
sure.
And so once they get in your circle, they'll find out that you're a total piece of shit.
Yeah, because Oskay told me years ago, but he started after me, and he goes, man, I thought you were a dick. And I go, why? He goes, you didn't talk to any of us. Because I didn't know anybody,
Yeah.
So he goes, no, I get it now. So
it never ceases to amaze me, the social awkwardness of the comedians at large. And I'm very socially awkward. So, I get, but there's been people where I've realized I'm like, I think this person hates me. And then I go, no, I think this person's just as fucking awkward as I am.
yeah.
And then I try to make a point to connect with them and stuff, and then they're great. they're wonderful. And I'm like, oh, it really was just like we all like think we're the outcasts.
I think so.
In a group of outcasts.
Yeah, it's a common thought among comics. Yeah. So
and then you got the type A comedians that like they just take it like to a duck to water. You know, like I have friends that like never met a stranger, could walk into any comedy room and feel comfortable. I have to like coast in those people's wake. Like we snuck into a green room in Atlanta, and I was like talking with that, and I was like, I can't just walk back into a green room uninvited. I don't have that in me. I'm not that kind of person. But I'll follow you back into that green room if you go in first.
it's like walking into a comedy club. I've even comedy clubs I've never done. I've never paid. I've never paid to go to a comedy club. I just walk in.
Sure.
And which is probably arrogance. I don't know. I just feel like I belong.
Do you say you're a comedian, or you just walk straight in?
I tell them I'm a comic. If they, God, this sounds so stupid.
No.
If they don't know who I am,
I'm Jeff.
I just assume they know. But I know I just walk in. Hey, I'm a comic. Sorry.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just all you need.
But wait, don't tell people that. They're going to take that now.
Everyone's just gonna walk into Man, we've had 500 comics come in tonight. Nobody has paid.
Right. This is a full room.
Because when I started, we were told to come, just come hang out.
Yeah.
And so I think it came from that, where I just walk in because we were told to come hang out and learn and watch and talk to headliners and that's how you get better. You just kind of hang out and be seen at the club,
My rule of thumb is I have to either know someone probably in the green room or know someone that's at that club. Like, so if it's your hometown and you performed there before, you should probably get in. But like,
are you talking about like just going into the showroom or like walking back into the green room?
The green room's different. I won't necessarily do that, but I walk into the club. But like even at the Comedy Store in LA, I was out. I don't know where. I think I was opening for a friend of mine, but I was out there and I wanted to go to the Comedy Store. I'd never been, and I knew Eric Griffin was on the show, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'll just. I don't know if I messaged him. Maybe I messaged him, but I just walked to the comedy, and the guy at the door is like, I go, hey, I'm a comic, and they go, okay. He's like, okay, go in. So I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it works everywhere.
Nice.
So I walk in and I got to hang out with Eric a little bit and watch the show. It was great. It was quite the experience.
I feel like those bookers too, or those door people, they have a sixth sense. Like they know, like that is a comic.
Yeah.
We were going to Atlanta last summer, and we stopped at Zany's in Nashville, and it was middle of the day, like on a Wednesday, and there was nothing going on. But I was just like, I always hear about all these clubs. I haven't performed it yet, and I'm just like, oh, this is cool. We should stop. And they have all the cool paintings of the comics on the walls. And this was right after a semi truck had like driven through it.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, oh, I want to see if maybe you can see where the truck crashed through the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I realized, and I forget about this sometimes, that we're just two black guys peering in the window of a club in the middle of the afternoon. And I think like one of the managers was like, can I help you? And we're just looking. They're like, yeah, there's not a show going on right now. And I was like, oh no. And like, but then like Thad had the good idea. He was like, yeah, we're comedians. And then all of a sudden it changed and was like, oh, come on in. Let's give you the tour. And
I'm like, we're comedians.
And I don't think that's new. That what I'm doing, I don't think that's new to anybody, but I'm just saying like, because I think any comic can do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it with the police next time I get around. Guys, I'm a comedian.
I'm a comedian. And the old joke there is a group of comedians hanging out, but the first one to say, "Hey, we're comedians," is like the worst one. Probably.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Like it's the one who says it to. The waiter or something, and then I think there's an old story. I think Matt Holt told me a long time ago about Carl Kakasula. If you know that guy,
no,
he passed away. He was an old guy and did
I
comedy.
Knew him.
He was a nice guy, just an old guy doing open mics and stuff.
Yeah.
And the joke was that he had said something about we're the comedians, and then somebody said, hey, Carl, you're not supposed to say, it's always the worst one that says, hey, we're comedians. And Carl's like, well, I think I'm the worst one, so
it's okay.
It's all right.
Dad would do the same thing, but with podcasters. He would say, and I was amazed at how many places we got into, and how much, and he would drop it like we were the CIA or something. He was like, it's all right. We're allowed to be back here. We have a podcast. And people were like, oh, okay. It was so confusing to people. It was like the weirdest Jedi mind trick I've ever seen.
He just walk in with the equipment. No, we're
Yeah, but
supposed
like
to be
he's
here. contaminating
contaminating a crime scene. I don't know. They said they were podcasters.
Walking on the body.
Have you seen that video of the guys who walk in like Disney with a ladder? They walk in with a ladder, and even people are like just letting them through.
Yeah, sure.
Like, oh, they got a ladder.
Yeah, they got a ladder.
And they just go do all of the stuff at the park with a ladder.
It's
That's
confidence.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Do they
That's
cut
what
the
it
line
is.
with the ladder too? Like we're
Yeah,
working on the
all of
ride.
it, yeah.
Hey guys, we're going to need everybody off. Hey, just tell whoever's running it. No more people go on. We got to test this ourselves.
Yeah. It's a pretty funny video.
That's like the upgraded version of going with the person in a wheelchair just to get to cut the front of the line.
Oh my God. Yeah, talk about airplanes and people in wheelchairs. They
Someone did
magically
that?
don't need the wheelchair when they get off.
Someone did that?
Oh yeah, people do it all the time. They get a wheelchair and they get on the plane, like one of the first people, and then they are the first to scurry off the plane, and they don't.
Have you ever seen how a person that actually needs a wheelchair gets on a plane? Like,
Yeah, well, I've never actually seen them try to get into the seat, but I've
Yeah.
seen them get wheeled down to the tunnel, and you know, they're on this. They're in their seat
like
when
on
I
the
get on.
like on the narrow plane. Like it's the craziest thing ever. I saw there's like YouTube videos of it, and it's basically like a disabled person going like, "Yeah, this is what I deal with when I get on a plane." And it like it's not the big planes where you could like easily wheel around in first
Yeah.
class, or whatever. This is like a narrow thing that there's no way a wheelchair could fit in.
Yeah.
They basically have to like monkey bars like all the way down the aisle, and
Holy
if
cow.
they don't have like they don't get like preferred seats or anything sometimes. So is this lady like like just monkey barring all the way down, like 17 rows of seats to get to it? I was like, I never
crazy.
even thought about it.
There seems like there needs to be a better system.
Yeah, you would think, let him sit up front.
Oh, no. I was
Yeah.
thinking about, like, you know how you go to the airport and you could walk or you could stand on those ramps or those, like, those machines
the
that take you
people
forward?
movers.
Maybe the bar handles that kind of go back so you don't have to do that much work. They just flip that back to the next, they kind of slide. I don't know.
we need to get you in touch with some plane designers. That's what we need.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I'm like, hey, I'm a podcaster. You need to talk to me.
You should design this plane.
I paid for an upgrade one day, and I was like, oh, I get to get on the plane first, or one of the first people, whatever. And I didn't realize that there's going to be just a lot of people in wheelchairs that day, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. And then there's a whole wheelchair basketball team in addition to them getting on the plane. So like half the plane was full before I even got to be like my
A whole
upgrade.
plane of wheelchair chairs?
Yeah, it was like
Is that what you call them?
no, I don't know, wheelchairs. That's insensitive, sir.
I don't know.
No, I don't know, but there was a wheelchair basketball team. I'm like, oh my God, the one day I paid for an upgrade. But you just wait your turn. You just wait. I'm like, all right, well, this is the way it happens. So
That is hilarious. Like, because you get a board first for those of you that don't fly when you get the upgrade.
For you peasants listening at home.
I think I paid for like group 1 or group 2 or whatever it is.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, there's always before that, there's always like pre-boarding people. So, but there's just a lot of pre-boarders.
That's funny.
Yeah.
What's the worst show you were ever on?
Oh,
Harder Brunch.
podcast or comedy show?
Comedy show.
Involving myself, was I bad or there were other people or everything?
Either one,
I was on a show in, I've talked about this before. I was in Paducah, Kentucky, and we were talking about this booker before this, who was booking a show, and he was headlining, and he does characters and things. And so I did not do well at all. I was just eating it up there, and I was supposed to do half an hour, and I think I ended up doing 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And got off stage. It was a long, long time ago, but there was a guy in the front row. He had a hook for a hand, and I thought, oh, let's talk about that. That's edgy,
Yep.
And
Didn't go well.
no, it didn't go over well. I said, how the hell do you clap? And then he just starts slapping his lap. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. It just didn't go anywhere, and I just was not having a good, and it was just terrible. I get off stage, and by the way, nobody else on the stage. Like, he's supposed to come up after me anyway.
Yeah.
Because we were just piggybacking. And he goes, what are you doing? I go, I did my set. I did a half an hour. He goes, no, you didn't. You did like 12 minutes. And I go, what? What are you talking about? I don't understand. And he ends up going on stage himself and warms up the crowd for me to come back up and do another like 20 minutes or whatever.
That's a power move.
Oh my God. And he did well. Granted, he did well.
Yeah.
And he did warm them up for me, but that was...
Ooh, you deserved it.
I did. Like. I mean, I deserved every harsh criticism. I was like, I ate it.
Yeah,
but,
I feel like for people listening at home that aren't comedians, I feel like the number one sin of comedy is joke stealing, and then the number two sin is like not doing your time.
Yeah, and I fully admit I didn't do my time. I didn't realize I didn't do my time. I just wasn't keeping track. I'm like, surely this has been long enough. But no, it was bad. It was bad.
Is there? So I'm only like a feature level, and I've never done like an hour of comedy before, but I've done comedy where it's not going well, and in a 20-minute chunk, if I'm 5 minutes in and it's just like I can tell the whole rest of it, and that's so long, like 50, knowing for 15 minutes you have a 15-minute bomb ahead of you. It's the worst feeling. I can't imagine being like 10 minutes into a set and being like, I have 50 minutes of this bomb.
Oh my God. You have those shows, and I every once in a while will get like my mind for some reason will go blank. And I'm like, I don't remember. And cause it's my act, and I know my act, but every once in a while, I just forget everything. And I don't know why. It just leaves me.
Yeah.
So you all of a sudden you get so hot, physically hot, temperature hot, and you're like, oh God, I'm sweating. And then it people don't know what's going on in your head.
Sure.
So because it lasts an eternity, but it might be just a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then I happen to think of a bit, maybe not necessarily in the order that I normally go in, but I think of a bit and I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay. Now everything's coming. It's weird. Wow. It's a weird feeling. And you people don't know you are like struggling, or you're something, you're just drowning.
Now, we were talking about a little bit about crowd work when we were eating. Do you think that's where crowd work comes in handy? Like if you're like, man, my first 20 minutes is bomb. Do you just kind of switch it out? I'm like, all right, let me just talk to this audience for a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. Like I was like, we were talking about earlier that, when I started, we were told to do crowd work. We were trained on how to do crowd work. And so like, as people think it's a crutch, but I think it's a tool. And like we were talking about that, it's, you can get great at crowd work and have great material.
Yeah.
I feel like I have pretty good material, and I'm pretty good at crowd work. And and if I don't even want to just do my act, I'm bored with it. Sometimes I get bored with my own jokes, and then I just start talking to the crowd and see what I can get. And then it's just fun. It's just kind of, and especially on cruise ships, your crowd work is your best friend, and it works. And it's people like, oh, I love how interactive you are, and I'm like, yeah, let's just. It
makes people feel like really in the present. This is like, this isn't just something he's regurgitated a million times.
It personalizes the show.
He made fun of my red shirt. You know, like, he told me my specific face was stupid.
Yeah, and then sometimes you get a heckler, and it does happen a lot, but every once in a while you get a heckler on a cruise ship. There was a guy who just started chirping at me. I'm like, I didn't even look at you. Why are you yelling at me? He's in the front. He's by himself, so maybe that's partly why he's chirping up.
Sad.
But yeah, he's kind of a sad person. Yeah. And I go, what's your problem? I go, because I didn't really have a joke necessarily to come back with. Like, what? Because I thought something was wrong. And I go, why are you mad because you look like an old prospector? He had a really bushy mustache, like past his mouth, and then a prospector type. I said, you should be panning for gold somewhere. There's gold in these hills.
One of my favorite style of jokes is just when you just nail somebody's look to a T. And it doesn't have to be nasty. It could be like that. Like one time we were at a show, and there was a lady who looked like modern day Jamie Lee Curtis, like exactly like a carbon copy. And Thad was on stage.
She's a handsome woman,
and she was saying something, and Thad goes, "Give it up for the lady from the Activia commercial." And it just ripped through the crowd, like, and then everyone's like pointing at her and laughing, and like she's like, "I do look like that."
She tipped me because she took it as a compliment.
That's what I'm saying. You made it like interactive.
I told a guy the other night he looked like Alfred Hitchcock, and he kind of shrugged, and I go, no, it's a compliment, man. He's a legendary director. Granted, he's not a looker, but I mean,
was he just a side profile?
Good enough for that Harvey Weinstein looking guy. You look like if Harvey Weinstein didn't get canceled. That's a good compliment, right?
So just regular Harvey Weinstein.
I was on a show last night. It was 2 shows, and on the second show, it's a really hot crowd, and I'm hearing everybody just crushing. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great. And then I went, and there was one lady who was like pre-gaming in the parking lot before the show, and I was like, and I called it. I was like, she's gonna be a problem later.
Yeah, you can always tell.
You can always tell. And she was, but like she was doing this weird thing where it was like, it wasn't heckling. It wasn't like she was interacting with me. She was just mumbling to herself and her date or whatever. And he wasn't really into it, but it was obviously distracting everyone around. It was distracting me, but I'm like almost doing my jokes on autopilot, and in my head I'm like, shut up lady, shut up lady, shut up lady. And then I realized I completely lost my place, but I continued to talk the whole time. And so I'm just like, oh, I skipped over like 5 jokes. And I'm like, how do I turn this plane back around? I'm like, well, they're not in my, nobody knows I messed it up.
No,
you know,
that's the benefit.
But yeah,
You can go back and pick them up.
it was jarring. Yeah.
It is jarring. I was doing a show in Michigan at a club up there, and then and I don't know, there was a heckler, but he wasn't like blatantly, obviously heckling. I mean, he kind of was. He was mockingly laughing at the comic, and you could tell it wasn't his real laugh.
Yeah.
And it really pissed me off just to watch the MC. He's just trying to open the show. He's just trying to do his job. He wants to do a good job. He wants to impress. And I wasn't headlining, I was just featuring, but he was just trying to do a good job. And I get up there, and I was working with Brent Morin. You know Brent Morin?
No.
Very, very funny guy. And I don't remember who the MC was, but I get up there, and I kind of let it go. He did it like 3 times to me. And I people enjoy it when I'm angry for some reason, because my voice goes up, but I go, what are you doing? What the fuck is your problem? He goes, is that really your fucking laugh, you fucking asshole? And I just fucking went off on him, like, what the fuck is your problem? And I said fuck so many goddamn times, and I go, you're just being a fucking dick. Yeah. And they started to, like, the security started to come over and get around him, and they were kicking him out, and he was yelling at me now, because I was getting him kicked out. He goes, great, make fun of the Irish guy. He has an Irish accent. And I go, I don't give a fuck if you're from Ireland. You're just a fucking dick from Ireland, you know? And then, so, thanks for ruining our night. And he was like, I'm like, yeah, he fucking ruined your night. And and people are laughing because I'm angry. And maybe they're just nervous about the situation. But I'm like, that guy's going to fucking come back and beat the shit out of me after this show.
I mean, he is Irish.
Yeah, he was definitely drunk.
Or Irish laugh sarcastically.
Yeah, maybe they do.
And
we need to address this white on white crime. It's running rampant.
Listen, lad, this is me real life.
and I get petrified after the show because I don't want to piss off the man. I don't care about him.
Yeah.
I don't want to piss off the management. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He goes, no, you're fine. And I go, really? He goes, no, we should have kicked him out before the show. We knew he was going to be a problem because he walked in drunk.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so it's your fault.
Your fault.
So,
oh my gosh. Casey, can you drop a beat for me there? Thank you so much, Jeff, for being on the program today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So much fun. Can you hit people with your socials and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, Twitter at Jeff Bodart. Instagram is the letter J Bodart because I'm asshole already took Jeff Bodart. But and then TikTok is Jeff Bodart. Yeah, I got some. It's all out there. Just jeffbodart.com for the BODART, and then the artwork. If you want my artwork, it's on Instagram at Jeff Bodart Art.
It's really cool. You've drawn a lot of like celebrities and such. And
celebrities and custom drawings.
Definitely go check it out. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
If I didn't hate the way I looked, I'd ask you to draw me. You know,
I'll draw you.
It'll look like I do, and then I'll hurt my feelings. Daddy's Jake.
Well, first off, I'd like to say I had a pleasure with you being on the show. It's fun. I'm sucking up a little bit because I'd like to work with you again.
Sure, man.
I'm just going to throw that in there. But yeah, you guys can find me at Thad McKee on Instagram and Twitter.
Casey Campbell.
Yo, you can find me slinging drinks during the Sunday show at Black Circle. You can also find me online at Danger Brewer on Instagram.
would like to open for you more than Thad would. I think that we should make that known that I'm a huge Jeff Bodart fan. Always have been, always will be. No, at Dyke Michaels on all social media. And thank you guys for listening. Obviously that was a joke. No one's a Jeff Bodart fan. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.